Hello, everyone, and welcome to this 763rd stated meeting of the Philadelphia Historical Commission. Uh, Seeing a quorum of commissioners in attendance today, I call this meeting to order. We are back to a virtual meeting for commissioners and attendees due to some technical difficulties. I will let our Dr. John Farnham explain a little bit about how this meeting is going to run.
Thank you, and good morning. As the chair said, my name is John Farnham. I'm the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Historical Commission. First, an apology for being unable to hold the in-person portion of this meeting. The conference room on the 18th floor of 1515 Arch Street, where we have our offices, is suffering from some technical problems related to the audio system in the room. We should certainly have those fixed by next month's meeting. Today's meeting is being recorded, and by participating in the meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. The recording will be available after the meeting on the Historical Commission's website, www.phila.gov/historical. Also on that website, on the public meetings page, you'll find everything you need to participate in the meeting, the agenda for the meeting, application materials, nomination materials, and any public comment received by noon yesterday. Every agenda item includes an opportunity for public comment. If you'd like to comment during the public comment period, you can raise your hand. If you're on a smart device, the raise hand feature at the bottom of the screen on Zoom. If you happen to be on a telephone, *9 to raise your hand. Once the chair has recognized you to speak, you'll have to unmute yourself. We'll unmute you from our end, but you'll have to unmute yourself from your end. You use the audio toggle at the bottom. Turn your microphone on. If you're on a telephone, *6 to do that. The commission typically makes its decisions by unanimous consent. If there is apparent disagreement among commissioners, a roll call vote can be conducted. And then finally, the Historical Commission has adopted guidelines for conduct at its meetings. If you're unfamiliar with those, please take a look at them. They are on the public meetings page of the Historical Commission's website. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, John. I would like to take a quick moment to introduce all of our commissioners today, and then we can get started with our agenda. I'll go down the list as I see them on my screen. So we'll just start. John, would you please introduce yourself?
John Leck, representing the Department of License and Inspections.
Thank you. Matthew?
Morning, Matthew Treat, representing the Department of Planning and Development.
Kim?
Good morning, Kim Washington, CDC representative and vice chair of the commission.
Thank you. Bob? Bob, you're muted.
Bob Thomas, preservation architect here in Philadelphia and member of the commission.
Great. Emily?
Good morning. Emily Cooperman, architectural and landscape historian and chair of the Historic Designation Committee.
Great. Thomas?
Thomas Holloman, architect, representing the City Council President.
Thank you. Dan?
Good morning, Dan McCoubry, architect and chair of the Architectural Review Committee.
Kyle?
Good morning, Kyle O'Connor, representing the Department of Public Property.
Lastly, Liam?
Good morning, Liam Kelly Fleming, representing the Commerce Department.
Great. Welcome, everybody, and I'm Zachary Frankel, real estate developer and chair of the Philadelphia Historical Commission. The first item on today's agenda is the adoption of the meeting from last month, of the minutes from last month's meeting, the 762nd State Historical Meeting of this Historical Commission. Is there a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from last month's meeting?
Dan McCoubry, so moved.
Great. Any objections? Great. Hearing no objections, that motion is adopted. Thank you very much, Commissioners. We'll move into the first item on today's agenda, which is the report of the Architectural Commission. First is on the consent agenda, 823 Delancey Place. Dan, would you like to add a few comments on this property as it moves through the consent agenda? Dan, you're muted.
The Architectural Committee reviewed this project at their last meeting and found that it did comply with the Secretary of Interior standards and recommended it for approval with a couple of comments and staff to review and approve details.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. Seeing as this is on the consent agenda, does not need a vote, correct? So we'll
Yes, Zach, it does. Yeah.
Okay, excuse me. So is there
I move the consent agenda.
okay.
Dan McCoubry, second.
Great. Are there any in opposition at this time? Great. Seeing no objections, consent agenda is adopted by unanimous consent. Thank you very much, Commissioners. And we'll move on to our first item on the agenda, which is 321-23 Chestnut Street, and we'll hear from Heather Hendrickson of the Philadelphia Historical Commission staff.
Good morning, Heather Hendrickson with the staff. If we could please elevate Brendan Garza of the National Liberty Museum and Carrie Kingsbury. This application proposes to install 5 rectangular murals on the east facade of the National Liberty Museum as part of an institutional revival and in preparation for the America 250th celebration. The murals would symbolize and highlight the museum's mission and values and activate this walkway that leads to the Ben Franklin Museum. The 5 rectangular spaces where the murals would be installed were originally windows when the building was the E.W. Clark Bank. These windows were infilled with brick at some point after 1959. The murals would be painted on the brick infill panels. The National Liberty Museum has chosen the mural artist Carrie Kingsbury of Promised Land Murals. The artist is proposing to use the parachute cloth method, painting with Nova Color acrylic paint with an anti-graffiti coating and adhering the mural panels to the wall with a gel adhesive. The Architectural Committee recommendation was approval, provided the alternative method of attachment is presented to the Historical Commission with staff to review details pursuant to Standard 9.
Great, thank you very much, Heather. If the applicant could comment.
Hi there, excuse me. Hi there, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today, and as well, our mural artist Carrie. Thank you for taking the time to chat and hop on this morning. As Heather noted, I'm representing the National Liberty Museum here, hoping to discuss this mural project that we're working on. As Heather stated as well, in discussion with the Architectural Committee, we initially proposed this parachute cloth method, but they also want to know the alternative method that Carrie had proposed, which is essentially painting the murals on aluminum panel, I believe, and adhering those to the wall in order to provide a less permanent method of installing the mural on the 5 brick panels. One thing to note is the parachute cloth method is the method that's been used by Philadelphia Mural Arts for murals across Philadelphia. So this is the reason that Carrie has proposed using that method, simply because it's quite common throughout many murals throughout Philadelphia. But in terms of the alternative method, Carrie can certainly speak more to the details of that. And if you have any more questions, happy to answer those.
Thank you very much. Are there any images at this time of what the murals are going to look like?
Yes, we do have images. I apologize if I was directed to provide those, and must have missed that.
That's okay. I was just curious. There. Thank you very
Dan,
much.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So Dan McCurry, just to elaborate a bit on the architectural committee's response to the proposal. First of all, the infills were originally windows. It's not part of the original fabric of the building. However, in looking at the literature, the parachute cloth gel method, the glue needs to be removed using mechanical methods, which would damage the underlying brick should the panels need to be removed. And so we were wondering about the alternative method that was mentioned, painting actually on a panel and installing that within the opening. So if the applicant could comment first of all on the concerns about mechanical removal, and then secondly, the option for painting on a panel and then installing it within the opening.
I believe Carrie should be able to elaborate on that easier than I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. So there's two types of industry standard mural application, the parachute cloth technique with the gel adhesive. It is very permanent. You have to sandblast it to get it off. So if you want something that you have the option to remove, I think the aluminum signboard, it's called Alumalite. I'm getting my words twisted here. Alumalite signboard. It has a coating, so it's paintable, and a lot of the mural artists use that for like very difficult installations on, say, bridges and surfaces that are crumbling, like very difficult surfaces. It's a great way to install, and you can unscrew it and take it off and get rid of, fill in the holes, and it's like it never happened. It was never there. So we did notice when we were looking closely at the surface, there are already holes in there from previous items that have been screwed into the wall. So, and especially because it isn't part of the original historic building, I think it would be a really good option for you. It'd be more expensive though. That's the only problem. Did you hear all that?
I did,
Yes.
yes. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Carrie, could you just remind me once more, what are the dimensions of the windows, the openings, of the murals windows?
I'm actually on a job site.
That's
Should
okay.
be actually working with students right now. I don't have all my notes with me. I thought it was just
problem.
about, my son just piped in 89 by 69.
Yep, 7 feet 6 inches wide by 5 feet 10 inches high, as noted.
Got it. Thank you.
My son's on the call with me, and he's the brains of this operation. I'm the artist, and he's the muscle and the brains.
Terrific.
He is terrific.
Okay, terrific. Any other questions from commissioners at this time?
Yeah, I appreciate. I'm looking at the removal, which inevitably happens. There are changes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you
Mhm.
paint this, then you have the problem of getting the paint off
Yep.
without damaging all the masonry.
Yep.
As you pointed out, there are already screw holes from the previous whatever was there.
Mhm.
So the nice thing with the panels with masonry that is unit masonry like this with many joints is that when it screws in, it can come out so easily without damaging anything. So I would certainly prefer that.
Absolutely. It's probably the best bet based on the situation.
The only other question I have, this is a walkway which used to be Oriana Street. It's a pleasant way to get from Market to Chestnut. Any thought about lighting?
At this stage, we haven't discussed anything in terms of lighting, but one thing we'd want to do, excuse me, before we pursue any lighting is certainly looping in the National Park Service, since this is a National Park Service walkway. Just out of courtesy to respect, what they would want for this pathway as well.
Right. I would just think that it's a narrow street, and yet, making it really illuminated and safe. I don't know what the lighting is there already, but also, the idea, of course, is to draw attention to the museum, bring people in, even if you're closed, they'll come the next day. Just want to see, success for your building.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I would point out that this is the way that leads to Franklin Court.
And many other things.
Great. Any other questions from commissioners at this time? Seeing no questions from commissioners, are there any questions from the public at this time?
Yes, one hand just raised.
Great.
David Traub.
Go ahead, Mr. Traub.
Good morning, David Traub, representing Save Our Sites. Just a comment, really, for your consideration and to stimulate thought. It seems to me that when I hesitate to use the word precedent, because I know that every issue and matter is considered in and for itself, but this does set the stage for other museums that are occupied, that are in historic buildings, to apply murals or artwork on their exteriors to promote their mission. So, I do have some reservations about that. I don't oppose this nomination or this proposal, but I think that's something to think about, and I want that placed on the record, if you would. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Traub. Any other public comments at this time?
No. I'm sorry. Hands going up and down. One other hand raised. Allison Weiss.
Go ahead, Ms. Weiss.
Yes, hello, thank you. Am I being heard?
Yes.
Yes, I agree with David Traub's comments. However, I oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments at this time?
No other hands are raised.
Thank you. Seeing no comments, is there a motion from commissioners at this time?
Dan McCoubry, I will make a motion for approval of murals to be installed at 321 to 23 Chestnut Street, with the understanding that the panel system, removable panel system, will be used in lieu of the proposed parachute cloth method, with staff to review and approve details.
Now second.
Are there any commissioners opposed at this time? Seeing no opposition, that motion is adopted by unanimous consent. Thank you very much, commissioners. Move on to the next item on today's agenda, which is 1601 South 13th Street. We'll invite Ted from the Historic Commission staff to present.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We look at the list of participants. Looks like Sarah of Toner Architects already has her hand raised. If she can be elevated, I'll read a brief overview. In January 2026, the Historical Commission reviewed and approved a previous in-concept application to convert the former St. John's Baptist Church in South Philadelphia to residential use. That application proposed renovating the Romanesque Revival building and inserting an additional floor levels to convert it to a 26-unit apartment building. The overall scope of the project, which was approved in concept, has not changed. The applicants have submitted a revised in-concept application seeking clarity on the form of the dormers that the commission would approve, as those dormers have significant impact on the design of the interior spaces and the financial viability of the project. The first version of this project proposed 4 gabled dormers on the Tasker Street elevation. The Historical Commission staff and the Architectural Committee suggested that combining the dormers into one or more shed dormers would make them less obtrusive. At the January 2026 meeting, the Historical Commission, or the applicant, presented a revised proposal with 2 wider shed dormers on each side of the building. Commissioners opined that these revised dormers remained obtrusive and were not compatible with the overall massing. The commissioners also recommended that the applicants explore a variety of roofing materials to replace the slate. The applicants submitted a revised dormer scheme for review by the Architectural Committee, showing 4 shed dormers on the Tasker Street elevation and 5 on the opposite side. This revised proposal that you're seeing today responds to the comments from the Architectural Committee in several ways. Shed dormers are slightly reduced in size, pulling away from features such as the tower and the parapet wall along 13th Street. Additional windows have been added to the dormers to maximize glazing and minimize the visual impact of cladding material. The applicants have also submitted a specific asphalt shingle designed to resemble slate roofing for your review. The Architectural Committee voted to recommend denial of the dormer design presented pursuant to Standard 9 and the roof's guideline.
Thank you very much. Whether is the applicant present?
I apologize. I couldn't hear quite what you said there, Zachary.
Is the applicant present, and if so, would please feel free to comment.
Yes. I'm Sarah Pachedley, one of the principals at Toner Architects and the applicant for this project. As Ted had mentioned, we're here in concept again to seek clarity on the dormers and the roofing for this project. As you know, development, especially in historic buildings, has been quite challenging with the current financial markets. And the owner, both for maximizing the usable space in the building, getting the dormers to the correct proportion, and then also the large change in costs between the roofs, different materials, we are proposing the asphalt shingle roof. For the owner's insurance, they are requiring full replacement to make this building insurable.
Thank you. Are there any comments from Historic Commission staff at this time?
Dan McCoubry, I would point out that the image that we're looking at here is a revised scheme that does reflect the Architectural Committee's comments quite well, I believe, and that the dormers are pulled away from the parapet and the tower and combined with more glazing and less kind of thickness in the teak walls. And I would also point out that in the plan, these dormers are quite important to give those upper level rooms kind of some additional space to really make them livable. So I would say that the applicant has, and I also believe that the windows are lowered a bit. They're not quite as tall as they were before. So the dormers are more dormer-like. With regard to the roofing, the committee would, of course, love to see a slate roof put back, but I also do understand that there's a significant premium even for the artificial slate material. And I would point out that in some ways, these dormers actually make the roof a little less visually, they're an interruption in the roof so that, we do lose the big sweep of slate, but I would opine that the asphalt option would, in my personal opinion, would be approvable given the cost premium of, I think, roughly $200,000.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they've done a good job of working with the committee, and I appreciate your recommendation, Stan.
Dan, any other comments from commissioners at this time? Are there any comments from the public at this time?
No hands are raised.
Great. Seeing no comments from the public, is there a motion from commissioners at this time?
Dan McCoubry, I will make a motion for approval and concept of dormers and roofing at 1601 South 13th Street, and thank the applicant for working with the committee and commission on this terrific project.
Thank you. Is there a second? Are there any commissioners opposed at this time? Seeing no opposition, that motion is adopted by unanimous consent. Thank you very much, commissioners. We'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is 8226 Germantown Avenue. And we will ask Josh from the Historic Commission staff to present.
Good morning, everybody. This is Josh Schroeder with the Historical Commission staff. Before I read an introduction, if we could elevate Stephanie Magana, Roy Aranovich, and Zamir Garcia to represent the application. And if they could raise their hands to do so. This application seeks in-concept approval for the construction of a 4-story mixed-use building and parking spaces at 8226 Germantown Avenue. The Detweiler House, an 18th century stone house, occupies the southeast portion of this lot. No exterior alterations or additions are proposed for the historic building, although that will undergo interior renovations. The new building will occupy the northeastern portion of the lot with new parking at the rear. The new building's size and massing has been reduced compared to previous proposals. The new building's exterior is largely clad in an off-white stucco and will have a slayed mansard roof with dormers. Portions of the ground floor's public-facing facade will feature stone similar in appearance to the historic building. And for some background, 2 previous versions of this project have undergone in-concept review by the Architectural Committee, most recently in November 2024. At that meeting, the committee recommended denial owing to the new construction's proposed massing, size, and incompatible architectural features. Those applications were withdrawn before review by the Historical Commission. But at the most recent Architectural Committee meeting, the committee recommended approval in concept of this proposal pursuant to standards 9 and 10. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh. Is the applicant available to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Josh, for the introduction. My name is Stephanie Magana. I'm the attorney for the owner, and Roy Aranovich is here as well. And I think he'd like to go through the options, Josh, that we submitted in terms of just to show the commission the iterations of this project is a true example of the iterative process, not only through the commission but through the community as well. We've had handfuls of meetings with the Chestnut Hill Community Association more formally, as well as many conversations with our near neighbors to come to this version and to come to agreements with them on what version of this project is most suited to the property. And I think Roy's very proud of where this has landed. We also have some updated renderings that came in last minute that we would like to show as well. But at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Roy to explain some of the iterations and the highlights. And then, of course, we can answer any questions.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Josh and Stephanie. This has been an ongoing process for us. We purchased this property about 2 years ago with the intention of doing a big multifamily connected to the historic property. Long story short, it became a challenge. We stopped at that point and we decided to start engaging the community, the business district, the neighbors around us, and understand what could possibly work here. We had a second version, which we dropped on density, we dropped the height, we got rid of the curb cut, but even then it still wasn't enough. Engaged the neighbors again, spoke to Southampton, spoke to the neighbors on the left, on the right, across from us, engaged with the community and reduced it again to what we have today. 4 condos above a commercial space and then a single family home that is restoration of the Detweiler House, one of the oldest homes in Chestnut Hill. Currently, I believe we have support of everyone around us, and we believe this is going to be, one of the better projects presented to the community, and we hope to bring this to life.
Thank you. And Josh, would you be able to pull up the renderings that were submitted at the 11th hour? There we go. Thank you very much.
And the second.
Thank you, Josh.
Great. Thank you. Does this project require zoning and land use approvals?
Yes, it does.
Variances?
So it does. So our zoning board hearing is currently scheduled in March. We are working through the tail end of the process with the Chestnut Hill Community Association. The Historic Design Advocacy Group has recommended approval. We got a recommendation of approval from the Land Use and Planning Committee as well. We'll move on to their DRC meeting, their formal RCO meeting this month.
Great. Great. How many units is it?
5 total. So the existing historic structure will be converted to a single family home and restored with interior renovations. And the new project has 4 units, 1 on each floor. Great. With, of course, the frontage being a commercial space along Germantown Avenue.
Great. Are there any questions from commissioners?
Dan McCoubry, the architectural committee was happy to see the evolution of this project, and given that the community review process and review by the committee, there has been a lot of evolution, and we were very pleased to see the outcome. I think it is an approval in concept. It was suggested that the dormers, and especially the sort of thick cornice above the dormers, be reduced. Those could perhaps be little shed roofs and look more dormer-like. And I think there may have been a couple of other suggestions, but we're very happy to see this, and certainly thought it should be approved in concept.
Thank you.
I would agree with Dan's comments about the cornice on the cornices on the dormers. But yes, I think that's a lovely rendering. And I know it's not part of our review, but I think I would be remiss in not mentioning the fact that this site doesn't have a record of ever having been developed. It was a side yard to a very historic house. And there is a high likelihood that there would be archaeological remains on this property. So I hope it's something that you will be sensitive to.
Yes, it is. And in fact, Roy has hired a consultant who's going to be part of the certainly any excavation activities on this site. That was also a concern for the Conservancy and the Historical Design Advocacy Committee with Chestnut Hill. So that has been formalized as part of the construction process for this project.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Great. Any other comments from commissioners this time? Seeing no comments from commissioners, are there comments from the public at this time?
Yes, 2 hands raised. First, David Traub.
Go ahead, Mr. Traub.
Yeah, David Traub again, representing Save Our Sites. I've followed this project through as it's moved through the process, and indeed, it certainly is. They've made a lot of progress, and it's much better than it was when I first saw it maybe a year ago. I do agree with Mr. McCoubry that and Ms. Cooperman that the cornice on the dormers is a little excessive. It should be simplified, and so that it appearance that the cornice of the dormers just kind of falls away into the sky. I think the stone at the base is a very nice touch, helping relate it to the existing historic house. I feel conflicted about the stucco personally. This is my own taste. I think that I prefer the brick, if I saw it again in the context of this new design. But so those are my comments. But for sure, the project is moving along in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
And second hand raised is Krista Gebbia.
Go ahead.
Good morning. This is Krista Gebbia. I'm here on behalf of the Chestnut Hill Conservancy. The Conservancy, through its Historic District Advisory Committee, supports the proposed project as heard on February 5th. And we really appreciate the applicant's willingness to engage with the community and to rehabilitate a significant local historic resource, the Detweiler House. And we appreciate it being used as a single family home and applicants' willingness to design a new building that's respectful of the standards for the treatment of historic properties. As has already been noted, thank you, Ms. Cooperman, but the HDAC also has noted that the site could yield important archaeological information, and we appreciate the applicant's willingness to include the Conservancy in collaboration with their consultant, CHRS. And we really look forward to the findings and potentially to showcase information at the Conservancy and the opportunity perhaps to have that as part of our archives. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? The public at this time.
No other hands are raised.
Seeing no. Motion from commissioners this time.
Right. Dan McCoubry, I will make a motion for conceptual approval of new construction and renovation at 8226 Germantown Avenue, and look forward to seeing the final iteration of the project.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Are any commissioners opposed at this time? Seeing no opposition, that motion is adopted by unanimous consent. Thank you very much, commissioners. We'll move on to our next item on today's agenda, 5416-26 Lana Street. We'll invite Alex Till from the Philadelphia Historic Commission staff to present.
Good morning, commissioners. This is Alex Till with the staff. As Zach mentioned, I will present this application today. But first, could we elevate architect Sing Yuan Chen and owner John Cunningham to panelists for this discussion? And if you just give me 1 second. All right. So I will read a brief overview. This application proposes to convert a currently unused industrial building in the Germantown Urban Village Historic District into apartments. The building was constructed between 1914 and 1930 and is 3 stories tall with a fieldstone facade that faces Lena Street. To accomplish this conversion, the application proposes to install new windows and storefronts in existing openings on the front facade of the building and insert a series of new window openings in a side facade that faces the adjacent Earlham Street. The application also proposes to re-stucco the side facade and install a light well on the roof. In addition, an existing paved storage area surrounded by a CMU wall will be repurposed into a parking lot with an added egress door. The new windows and window openings will be visible from the adjacent Lena and Earlham Streets. After review by the architectural committee, the applicants submitted revisions for this project, including changing the number and size of proposed new openings for the side elevation, altering the new stucco color, altering the first floor storefront design, and including additional information on the 2 less prominent facades and placement of rooftop mechanical equipment. At their meeting, the architectural committee voted to recommend denial of this project as it was submitted, but approval if their suggested revisions were implemented, with staff to review details pursuant to Standard 9. And I have images of both the revised and the original proposals here, as well as all the drawings and everything. So if you want to refer, seeing to which page you might want to refer to, let me know.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Shin. I'm the architect for this project.
Great.
Okay. Yes. So my office revised the drawing and based on the comment of the architecture committee. So if you go back to the original design, yes. So original, we have the 2 kind of vertical linear, kind of linear window, and then we combine from 2 into 1 as a more like a square looking window. So it's more like a industrial looking loft style. Try to match the proportion of the front facade. So that's the major change of the revised one. And if we can go to the H4 page on the sheet, yeah. Yes. So basically, this is overall the overall the 3D view we can have vision. We also add the roof condenser unit on the top, and then on the next page, H5. Oh, sorry, yeah. So this is a rendering, and then H6. Yeah, we show the pedestrian on the side wall, the side light view, and so we won't see the roof condenser on the top. And so if we go back to the rendering, the yes, it's H5, and other minor changes, the front facade, and we make the stone base. The center one on the first floor is the main entry of the lobby. On the both side, just the storefront, and we made the stone base and try to accommodate one of the member comment to have a better maintenance, so we won't have the glass and mullion right against to the side wall. So I think this all. Oh, and then the last comment from the Architecture Commission, they asked to change the stucco color to more like a match the current front facade stone. And so this the change. And also we point out the note on the other side, the party wall side will be matched the same as the parking elevation side, the same as the rear. The rear elevation will be matched the new stucco color as a parking side. So this overall is the change of this submission. Oh, and we also have the structure engineer in this meeting. So with this new punch window, at the parking side wall is the stone wall. So he already done with the structure design reinforced inside the stone wall. So the structurally is no issue. And we have done go through this study and design. I think this is all my comments.
Great. Thank you very much. Are there any comments from commissioners at this time?
Dan McCouprie, I think the applicant has responded very well to the comments from the staff and the committee.
Yes.
I think it's a terrific project. I would point out that the CMU wall around the parking will be painted. So that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other comments from commissioners? Are there any comments from the public at this time?
Yes, 3 hands raised. First is Allison Weiss.
Go ahead, Ms. Weiss.
Yes, thank you. Allison Weiss, Solo Germantown Civic Association. And I would just like to thank the applicant and the architect and all of the committee that was involved in helping to make this a much better looking project. We really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next is David Trout.
Yeah, David Traub here again. Echo Allison's comment. This is a wonderful project, and it's progressed, in a very, very positive way. I love the stone facade and the robust character of this industrial building. In that regard, I have just one comment. I wonder if on the side elevation you could peel the stucco away to see the edge of that stone wall. I think that would it's a detail. Yes, it may not be technically possible, but that would change the appearance of the stone wall being just kind of a paper application. That's my only comment. Maybe can't be done. but I think that would improve the project even more. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last hand raised is Justin, and please, Justin, if you can provide your last name when you speak.
Yeah, my last name is Cook. I'm a near neighbor to this property. Yeah, so I was a part of the RCO meeting for this. I had received, I guess because I'm a near neighbor, I had received a paper notice of this change. I'm not sure if this is the correct forum to be voicing my concern. But I do understand that around the corner from this property, this property is essentially basically in the middle of Lena Street, close to Church Lane, and on Church Lane, around the corner on this block, there's going to be a 33-unit apartment complex being built. I don't know how many bedrooms specifically there are. I'm trying to find that right now. There is not going to be any parking, and directly across the street from this proposal here is the Hamel Mill Apartments, which I understand the PHA recently purchased, and they intend to turn it into 40 units. Parking remains to be seen. And I don't know how many of those, it's supposed to be mixed 1 and 2 bedrooms, so I don't know exactly how many bedrooms there's supposed to be. So there's 2 projects in the works with 73 units, unknown amount of bedrooms, just within this basically at this intersection.
John, could I step in very quickly? That's a zoning issue, period. Parking.
Okay.
Do you have any questions regarding the historic character?
Well, okay. I don't know if this is again, I do apologize if this is not the correct form.
No, we understand your concern, but you're talking to the historical commission, not the zoning board.
Okay. Okay, would this be the correct place to ask if there's been any change to the proposed amount of units and bedrooms?
No, that's a zoning issue. We regulate only for the vast majority of structures in Philadelphia. We regulate only the exterior.
I see. Okay. Well, just as a near neighbor, aesthetically, I did endorse what they're trying to do here. So I do appreciate the look that they're going for and the intended use of the space as it is aesthetically.
Yeah, I would talk to the zoning controls the use of the building. That would be what's going on inside, the type of use, the number of units, and zoning also controls the parking.
I see. Okay, well, thank you. I think
Very
it looks good what they're doing. So, all right, well, thank you, and I apologize for.
Thank you for your interest.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Bob. Are there any comments from the public at this time?
No other hands are raised.
Okay. Seeing no comments from the public, is there a motion from commissioners at this time?
Dan McCubry, I will make a motion for approval of renovations at 5416-26 Lena Street with staff to review and approve details. And among those should be any exterior lighting that's proposed for the project.
Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. Are any commissioners opposed to this time? Seeing no opposition, that motion is adopted by unanimous consent. Thank you very much, commissioners. With that, concludes our agenda for the Architectural Commission today. We'll move on to old business, which is the first and only item on the agenda for old business is 123 South Broad Street, Unit 1. We'll elevate Heather Hendrickson from the Historic Commission staff to present.
Good morning again. If we could please elevate the Preservation Alliance, who are the nominators for this property, and also Michael Phillips, who is representing the property owner. I'll read an overview. This nomination proposes to designate the main banking room of the Philadelphia Trust Company building located at 123 South Broad Street and listed on the Philadelphia Register of Historic Places. The nomination asserts that the main banking room meets criteria for designation C, D, and E. Under criteria C and D, the main banking room is identified as a significant example of classical revival architecture, with its design reflecting early 20th century banking institutions' efforts to restore public trust by evoking classical ideals and employing materials that conveyed restraint, stability, and permanence. Under criterion E, the nomination emphasizes the importance of the room's 3 influential designers and artisans. These include the Philadelphia architectural firm Simon & Simon, responsible for the overall design of the building and the main banking room, the structural elements attributed to the renowned Piccirilli brothers, and the monumental stained glass window History of Philadelphia, created by DeScenzo Studios, one of the most successful and influential stained glass firms in the United States during the early 20th century. The Committee on Historic Designation recommended that the nomination demonstrates that the main banking room satisfies criteria for designation C, D, and E. I'd also like to add that Michael Phillips, on behalf of the owner, has submitted a letter asking the Historical Commission to consider classifying the marble knee walls and teller stations as non-contributing to allow for future adaptive reuse. This document has been shared with the Historical Commission and uploaded to our website, and Michael Phillips is here and can elaborate on that request if the Historical Commission has any questions.
No, I do not have a question. Any questions from other staff at this time, or will we hear from Michael Phillips?
This is John Farnham. I think that the Preservation Alliance has been elevated, and
Okay, great.
We'll hear from them first, I think.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Hannah Stark, the Director of Policy and Communications at the Preservation Alliance, who are the nominators for this interior. Heather did a great job of explaining the significance of this monumental classical revival style banking hall, and we really do think it is one of the most distinguished public interior spaces in the city. And I just want to note that during the preparation of this nomination, the Alliance met with a representative of the property owner on site back in October. And from that dialogue, we agreed to incorporate a measure of flexibility in regards to the half walls and teller stations, recognizing that certain future adaptive reuse schemes may need to occur without using those elements. So we are in agreement with the approach that the representatives for the owner have laid out. And we agree that this can reflect a shared interest in seeing the historic interior space protected while allowing for continued use. And yeah, we think that the designation of this interior can recognize both its architectural distinction and the role it played in the cultural and commercial history in Center City. So yeah, we hope the Commission designates this interior today. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners at this time? Seeing no questions from commissioners, are there any questions from the public at this time?
One hand is raised. I just wanted to make sure that Michael Phillips had an opportunity.
Sure.
If he has anything to add, not sure that he does.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pryor, members of Commission, Chairman Frankel. I do not have much to add. I just want to say that we appreciate the Preservation Alliance's approach and willingness to work with the owner here. As was noted, we do not oppose designation of the main banking room, and we agree it's an extraordinary example of classical revival architecture and is worthy of being included as just the 6th publicly accessible interior space on the register in the city. We believe that that defining character does come from the monumental volume, the marble, the stained glass window, the sculptures, and that the marble teller stations in the knee walls, while there's no intention to do anything with them now, really speak more to the banking operations and function more like interior features that are tied to that use. And we are just seeking the flexibility by contributing those, by classifying those as non-contributing features, which will allow in the future for much easier adaptive reuse as needed. And if prospective new tenants are looking at this, they can at least have comfort in knowing that those elements can be removed while we would continue, of course, to protect fully the remaining elements of this interior. So I thank the Preservation Alliance and thank the Commission for their consideration, and I'm here for any questions. I also have a representative of the owner in case there are any specific questions for him as well.
Any further questions from commissioners? Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I completely agree about the need to consider the tellers, stations, etc., to be non-contributing in terms of the overall interior, but they're nevertheless part of the original elements. The grills and so forth is how the heating was done. You know, that came through them. They'll certainly be photographed in the nomination, so that people will be able to see what this was. Any chance if they are removed of them, like at least one section being stored somewhere, or they're being documented, measured, whatever?
There's no objection to any documentation, and I don't think right now there's no intention to remove them at all. And you know, to the extent they could be incorporated into any adaptive reuse, I think you know, clearly that that would be fine, and if it works, it works. In terms of documentation, again, no problem with that, and you know, I think it'll forever be ingrained, at least in anyone who enjoys comedies, minds, and trading places. They will always see this. The walls will be there documented, you know, forever in that classic movie. So, but no problem, no objection to documenting or any photographs of the original. And again, no immediate plans to do anything whatsoever. And you know, Wells Fargo is in here. They have an existing lease, and for as long as this remains a banking, you know, a financial institution use, those marble, you know, knee walls and teller stations would remain.
Right. If you did take them out, what would you do with the heating? Or you haven't thought about that yet?
Have not gotten that far yet, and might, you know, might need to keep some just for that reason. But yeah, I mean, this has always been a banking and financial institution. We're just looking kind of at the tea leaves of you know what the future may hold, and needing that understanding a tenant may need that flexibility. But we haven't gotten that far with what we would do with the heating.
No, I think we're in full agreement with that. I'm just saying to recognize that if out of necessity, financial necessity, to preserve this space, you need to get some income, that these quote unquote non-contributing elements are removed, that they be documented. That's all.
Not a problem.
If that could go into your agreement, that would be wonderful.
I'm having trouble, and I don't think we should use that language of non-contributing. They're clearly contributing. I think we can still say there's some flexibility that needs to be built into this. I very much appreciate Mr. Phillips' comments about not having any plans to remove them. But I think I don't want us in our discussion to, well, let me back up. Let me start that sentence again. I hope that we can say in our discussion of this space that we hope that they will be preserved instead of foregone. If you say they're non-contributing, that essentially writes them off, and I don't think we should do that. I mean, I certainly hope that they stay. They clearly are contributing to this space. That doesn't mean that we're not going to say we understand the need to be flexible, but they're part of the original design. They've been there since the room opened. They are just as much the work of the designers as the rest of the space. And so I really don't want us to use the term non-contributing. I think we can craft some other language that says, we understand that we need to be flexible, but please don't call them non-contributing is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I stand corrected. I agree with you. And a good example of this, Michael, is we were the architects for the Wissahickon Apartments in Germantown, and there was a wall in the back to the rear area That was certainly part of the thing, but to make it of the complex, but to make it work for modern parking, we needed to open up that opening, to enlarge it, move this, take out the original stone, all of which was contributing, but it was agreed that we could, by the National Park Service, we could make that adjustment to a contributing element to allow for ADA and other access. So I think that it's the language. I think we're all on the same page. That recognize that these are contributing elements, but they can, if need be, they can be moved.
I think that's really the flexibility we're looking for. The classification as non-contributing really was geared towards that future potential need to come back before the commission, and understanding that this is not an exterior of a building, that this is interior, and it would only be the sixth one in the city, and so tenants aren't accustomed to needing to have a historical contingency, and obviously any changes to other aspects of the building would need to go before the full historic commission. Here, what we're seeking is that it's almost a foregone conclusion that if this were not a financial institution or banking use, there isn't an efficient use of space with how narrow.
We're completely.
So as long as they can have that flexibility and understand that going into any prospective leasehold, I have no objection to however it's classified by the commission.
Right. And we could write that into our designation, and you could write that into your agreement.
I think the other thing about the question of documentation, sure, we have lots of photographic documentation. I think what would be, we really, I think, need to add to that some measurement recordation if they are removed. In other words, they need to be measured and drawn, and the drawings included in the record for the historical commission. And that's not a big ticket item, so that's not going to break anybody. But I think yes, we have tons of visual documentation, but I think we need to remember that documentation isn't just photographs.
Right, but I think as long as the owner, those provisions are written into our designation, the owner would be able to proceed would not have to come to the historical commission other than for a change. The change is allowed, and the circumstances under which it would be carried out is specified, and that would be fine.
Yeah, I mean, the point is, when a permit is pulled, it's going to go to the staff, and presumably our motion would cover the fact that the staff, if that permit application includes the removal of those partitions, it would trigger the full recordation, which would include measured drawings and salvage to the greatest extent possible.
I believe it would also, Dan McCoubrey, it would trigger our review, because you can't just take them away. You have to patch and make other changes that would affect the interior. So
yeah. So I mean, I think the main point being, we've got several things going on here. First, we are recognizing the need to be flexible about the removal of those partitions. That's number one. Number two, I don't think it's appropriate to call them non-contributing. I mean, I think we can say we're being flexible without making them be non-contributing. I understand why because that's what we usually do. I understand why we kind of went there. And I think that the commission would review any permit because of the designation of the space at large. But I think that should any removal be necessitated, adequate documentation, in addition to project review that Dan was just referring to, should include measured drawings, as much salvage as possible, given the limits of any future project, and existing condition photographic documentation. That would be my way of thinking about it.
Right. The other thing I would say is that if I recall correctly, we work with a landscape architectural firm that has offices somewhere in this building. And in the hallway are some of the original working drawings displayed, just as a hallway decoration. I would imagine that drawings of, for a building of this stature are available, whether it's at the Penn Archives or somewhere. And in terms of the requirement that the counters that might be removed, the requirement would be that those drawings be filed with the Historical Commission for future reference. You could actually do that any time, even in advance, to say that's taken care of, to a potential tenant. So I know, because you always want to present a space for availability with as few encumbrances as possible. And that's something that could be handled in advance. And you might even find the drawings of these things and check them out. And if it's identical, then you've done that, and you could file copies of those with the commission, and that box has been checked forever, until, for whatever tenant might come in. Just a suggestion.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you.
I think we have to take public comment before I can make a motion. Is that correct?
Sure, I think so. Are there any comments from the public at this time?
Yes, one hand raised. Gabriel Gottlieb.
Go ahead, Mr. Mr. Gottlieb, are you with us?
He's been unmuted from our end. There.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, excuse me. Yes, I'm talking the hallway. They're doing work in my apartment. But anyways, earlier you just mentioned about how there could be adaptive reuse. I mean, you've been discussing that. And it's interesting also, when you mention adaptive reuse, there are different, kinds of adaptive reuse that are popular with these old office buildings. And considering the fact this is such a great public space, this is, that's one reason it's being designated. I would just hope it would always remain something that's open to the public. Because a lot of times if you have apartments, especially condos, the lobby gets closed off to the general public. And, you need the doorman has to let you in or something. Whereas if it's something, say, like a hotel, it would always be, a general public space, and continue to be this great public space as, been seen in movies and things like that. And it'd be great. And I think best if it would remain always a public space that the public can just come in a casual sort of way and, always be able to access it in that casual way.
Well, again, that's a zoning issue. I think obviously one would want to take advantage of this, but it's not something that we could regulate.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob. Any other comments from the public at this time?
No other hands are raised.
Okay. Seeing no comments from the public, is there a motion from commissioners this time? Bob, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we designate the interior of 123 South Broad Street with the provisions for recording the teller pedestals and counters should they be removed in the future, which would be allowed.
Is there a second at this time?
John Leck, I'll second.
Okay.
Are any commissioners opposed at this time? Seeing no opposition, that motion is adopted by unanimous consent. Thank you very much, commissioners.
Commissioners.
Thank you. With that concludes our old business for today. It also concludes our agenda. We will skip over the report on activities of the Historical Commission staff this month. I would make a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Philadelphia Historical Commission.
So moved.
Great. Thank you very much, commissioners. Thank you to the public, and thank you, as always, most of all, to our Historic Commission staff that works very hard each month for this meeting. we really appreciate it.
Are we moving to,
That's a question for Len Reuter or John. Are we going to move to an executive session?
Sure. Yes, you can formally announce that we're going into executive session.
Great. With that, we'll conclude this public meeting, this is Philadelphia Historical Commission, and we'll move into an executive session.